Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Julia, I'm so excited. Woo!
All right. Howdy, Disco Citizens. I am Julia Marchese.
And I'm Teri Gamble. Welcome to Horror X, a collaboration between the George A. Romero Foundation and our podcast, Horror Movie Survival Guide.
Horror X explores the femmes who make fright films fantasticorical and palavers with them about their experiences in film and horror.
Today's guest is the founder and president of the George A. Romero Foundation. Woohoo! Hi, Suzanne
Hello.
Desrocher-Romero.
Hello,
We met
ladies.
George. We love her while he was working on post production for Land of the Dead.
And their relationship blossomed over a mutual passion for the arts. And Suzanne learned from George how to watch a film and appreciate the intricacies of filmmaking. We love that. And she also learned a great deal about the business of filmmaking.
I know, Suzanne, we've talked before about how you were devastated, as we all were, by his death in 2017. But that led you to found the GARF and to secure George's legacy as a filmmaker, which we are also obsessed with, to ensure the preservation of his films and others, and to support the next generation, like us, of filmmakers inspired by George's life and work.
And so the George A. Romero Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring George's life, art, and cultural impact by restoring and preserving his portfolio and legacy, and supporting the dreams and imaginations of independent filmmakers, artists, and writers inspired by George, including me. I couldn't have made my Stephen King adaptation of I Know What You Need without them. I'm so grateful. Teri.
Please welcome, we've already brought you on, Suzanne, because I'm just so excited. Welcome the effervescent Suzanne Desrocher-Romero. We're so happy to chat with you again. We've gotten to chat with you on our other show, but we haven't chatted with you here, which is, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you know what? Beginning of this year, let's remedy that. We're so happy to have you, Suzanne.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks. And wow, I mean, it's, the foundation is almost 7 years old. It's hard to believe.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And, we're so proud of what we do and where we are and where we're going to go. It's just very exciting.
Well, let's start, as we always do, with your beginnings in horror and film and where that all stemmed from.
Wow. The beginning. Basically, the beginning was I was very ordinary film watcher until I met Mr. Romero. And then, one thing led to another. And suddenly I'm in a Romero film school where I'm watching old films and films that he thought were important. And I graduated about 5 years after. So it took me a bit. But yeah,
sounds like a good program.
I would like to be in that program.
You can only imagine what it was like to see movies with George Romero. I mean, honestly, it was such. I don't even realize. I don't know if I realized then what a privilege it was. So much. It was just kind of like it was my life, but now in retrospect, I feel that it was terrific. It was a privilege.
And what kind of stuff did he? I mean, he must have had a wealth of knowledge about the behind the scenes of a lot of the films you watched.
Well, I think he looked at the craft of the film and what the decisions were made, that what the directors made, and he was very obviously interested in story. George was a cinephile, and he was a writer, and he was, a true blue artist. And when he looked at a film, he saw the craft of it. And I never really saw the craft until he showed it to me.
So what were movies like for you? What was the difference in between the way you watched before?
I watched a movie and I took it in, and I never looked at the details so much of it. The cuts and the lighting and the sound, and I never really looked at it that way. I just kind of just took it all in, and whether I liked it or not, it was just very sort of visceral as opposed to an intellectual process. Because I think George, I mean, you can do both. You can watch a film and look at it in a craft way, and then you can also just take it in because it's a fun movie, or it's a scary movie, or whatever it is. you accept it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm hearing just more, I don't know. I feel like he was always so deep in the things that he made. So he's watching with that eye is what I'm hearing as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Of like what's the, actual, purpose, or what is the story, or what's the overall theme that they're trying to
right,
put forth.
right.
He was always dissecting stuff, looking at that too, or
Yeah, but angles and like Julia, when you were doing your film, you made your decisions, and
Mhm.
you make them uh, because you want to tell the story, but you also have a vision of how the story should be told, or how it should look, or how it should sound,
Mhm.
and that is the art
yeah, the
of
look and sound
filmmaking.
is the storytelling, right?
Well,
I've
the
I've
sound gives you
mhm.
it, without sound and without music, the film is quite flat, actually, and the sound really gives it the full body, the full enchilada,
The ambiance, if you
the
will. I
ambiance.
agree. Yes.
Yeah,
I
We
mean, yeah, you've talked about that before. I've watched movies that I was like, if the soundtrack is not great, or if you can't hear it well, it's just like it feels really, really difficult to watch. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like if you were to watch Jaws without the sound and or music, it's really not that. It's quite a simple film.
They
Mhm.
built that suspense with that Donna Donna, right?
There's no doubt about it. It's all the sound, it's all the music, it's just that.
We actually have a question from our live chat. Thank you for watching us live. You can always watch us live, and you can send in your questions from Brandon Salisbury, who asks, Suze, I heard before that you're a huge fan of Shakespeare. What
Yes.
is your favorite work? I think we could all answer this because we're all fans of Shakespeare here. So I will gladly go
Yeah.
on a Shakespeare tangent.
I think I really well, I like them. I like a lot of them. I guess I've never been asked that question. Uh,
Good job, Brandon.
yeah. Brandon, I don't know. I think maybe Macbeth. Um,
Ooh.
I think Macbeth. Yeah, I guess that would be my. I do like Twelfth Night
Mhm.
because I think it's super fun, and I've seen it a bunch.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess Macbeth.
I'm a Hamlet girly.
I
Yeah,
knew it. I
it's
was gonna
so
say
good.
Julia's Hamlet all day. I
Yeah.
could see that.
Mhm.
And George really loved Hamlet, and he also his absolute favorite was Richard III.
Oh, that's a good
Ah,
one.
just
Yeah,
got goosebumps.
yeah,
I
he would watch
love
that regularly, once a month or something.
It's a great show. I saw
It-
a really great adaptation of that, when I was living in Russia at the Satyricon Theater that lives with me forever. I saw the same guy
Mhm.
do King Lear, and then he did Richard
Wow.
III on a Saturday, and he was a King Lear
Mhm.
on Thursday. Those actors there, incredible in rep. But I adore that. But my favorite, I was just watching the other day, and I was like into it right now, maybe because everyone is exceptionally hot, and I forgot how hot this movie was. Kenneth Branagh's adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Yes. For the win.
I,
Robert Sean
I was like,
Leonard.
if you
I'm a
need to
huge
watch
fan of
something
Kenneth
very
Branagh.
sexy,
Yeah,
woo!
Yeah,
he's
his Hamlet goodness.
very good.
But
Very,
that
very
Much
good.
Ado, everyone looks so good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Denzel, everyone is
Yep.
just like probably the hottest. Like it's like literally the hot. Everyone. Imelda Staunton is even like very sexy in that movie. I was like, I don't think of her as a sexy actress now. Like she's like the villain in so many of our movies now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
yeah.
let's talk about the beginnings, the origin of the Garf.
You know, I went to Pittsburgh after I had been receiving these notes, like emails, where Pittsburgh institutions were wanting to celebrate George Romero, and the Warhol, the Pittsburgh Film. I mean, there was just so many people who were trying to gather and figure something out. And I decided to meet them in Pittsburgh, and then I met Adam Lowenstein, and just one thing led to another, and I just realized that um, there was a space for George Romero and future. I don't know. It was instinctive to me. I was able to see a path, And I have to say, too, though, that I didn't realize how much work it was actually going to be. But yeah, it's
Every project ever. I'm sorry.
I
I'm just
know.
like,
You think, oh, it's going to be just whatever, and then it just
uh-huh.
becomes very,
Your
you
life?
know, yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes your life, and I'm glad it is, because we're, like I said, we're very proud of what we do, and really at the end of the day, what's important to me is not only is that George Romero and the artists in his field are respected in the horror world, and that, I'm very interested in the Horror Studies Center in Pittsburgh at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm interested in uh, students learning about this subject anthropologically, socially, biologically, intellectually. Just, it's such a fascinating subject, and one that I'm not really like, I'm learning. I'm still learning about horror, actually, because it's not really my natural way, but I'm definitely learning about it, and I want it to be respected. I'm
Yeah.
desperate for it to be respected,
What have
actually.
you what I guess what has your been your I don't know how to frame this exactly. I'm just thinking about the genesis since the last time you spoke. 'Cause I know you've been learning and getting deeper. What have you come to love about the genre? What have you come to want it to be respected? So not just for George, but what is it about it for you that gets you excited? What do you love about horror now?
I think what I love about good horror is that it makes you feel ultimately uncomfortable, and that feeling that it's not real, but yet it's kind of real, and it really puts you in a place that I find interesting. And what I also find interesting is somebody from Korea might react differently than a Norwegian person because
Mhm.
of their cultural experiences, the references behind them. Um, so that's what fascinates me about it. But it has to be good. It can't just be like, teenagers making bad decisions.
I
Well,
kinda love that too, though. I'm holding space
That's
for the
different. That's
teenagers
fun.
making bad decisions.
Yeah, that's fun. And, like, don't open the door. Oh
I
no,
know,
don't
oh my
open
can you
god.
the
can
They
you
door.
gonna
give
open
us
that door. They gonna open the
can
door.
can you give us a few of your favorites?
Oh no. I'm more about listen, the last one I just saw was Nosferatu.
Okay, what'd you think?
I thought it was very beautiful.
Hmm.
I thought it was beautifully shot. The cinematography was sensational. The acting was great. Did it scare me? No. Um, but
Did you feel
it,
excited? Because I think that was the general consensus for
it
that
was what?
movie. I
What?
said, "Did you feel excited?" Because I feel like that was the general consensus. People were just like, "Oh, oh, am I
Okay.
in love with a vampire?" Like,
Yeah.
people
Yeah. I didn't actually feel that myself, but I felt that it was, again, I was looking at it from, the fact that it was mostly black and white, and
Mhm.
I thought the production values were terrific. I just thought it didn't give me the goosebumps.
Okay.
It didn't put me in that place.
Well, I'm a Aaron Taylor Johnson and Nicholas Hoult give me goosebumps every
Okay,
time.
okay.
So
It was the tri
I
unfortunately,
can
it
see
was the
that.
tri sorry.
I
Go
can
on,
see that.
Suze. Yeah, it was the trifecta for Julia too, because it
Oh
was
my god.
like, Pennywise with Silly Bill Skarsgård playing, the Nosferatu as well. So it
mhm.
was
Mhm.
it was too many of our dear favorite scary killer boys in one
Mhm.
movie. Um, we just saw it on third. I dragged Julia to see it for the third time this last weekend for my first time.
Wow.
And then we watched it on 35 mil at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood, and it was
Wow, nice.
just beautiful to see it on
Yeah.
that screen and see
Yeah.
that and to experience that with, us giggling in the theater with our friends, which was
Yeah.
delightful.
Well, that's
So
what make
mhm,
going to movies
mhm.
at a cinema is that's what it's all about,
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
got to sit in a cinema together at the Salem Horror Fest
Yes.
this last year, where I Know What You Need was playing. Talk about how you got involved with my film and how you got involved with the Salem Horror Fest.
Well, we love the idea of mentoring, and we love the idea of artists getting some feedback and getting some questions answered. So that really was appealing to me, and the fact that you know it's a very respectable festival, and yeah, no, and I think we met you. I'm trying to remember because Jeff and I saw your film, or we definitely decided that we needed to support you. It was just like, okay, this is a no-brainer. We're going to do this. We love the idea of it being, the Stephen King's. We just love that whole idea of it, and yeah, and when I saw your film, I mean, I had seen it on my screen at home,
Mm-hmm.
but to see it in the theater and to see it with folks, it really makes a difference, and it was a
That
great
sound.
experience.
The
Yeah,
sound, I didn't realize, like, I've seen it a few times, luckily on screen and in cinemas with people,
yeah,
but we had a screening last summer that was at Comic-Con, and that sound system in there was like no joke, Julie. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like getting the little birds that are in the background and all the little
yes,
pieces that your sound
yes.
guy, we were talking about the sound earlier, and just I was
The
like, this is
Foley.
the
Yeah.
Foley.
Yeah,
Yes. So much of it was just like, I was like, okay. Cause I'd also watched it on my laptop and watched it,
yeah,
at home. We watch it. I think we all watched different iterations of it throughout the process and stuff too. Championing it along. It's just so cool to see it with all the sound and with people. It really
yeah.
does make a difference.
It does.
Um,
And
mhm.
Julia, we were I was so thrilled for you and thrilled for your film, and it just, proud mama, I mean, it's just so nice to have, and the film is so super successful, right?
Thank
I
you.
mean, it really was. And, uh, it was just a terrific experience. And I'm
Well,
very glad to be there.
thank you. As you know, I mean, I couldn't. You helped run a crowdfunding campaign and really have supported the GARF has supported me as a filmmaker, and I really appreciate that. But I
Yeah.
think it's cool that not only did we get to watch that we on the big screen at the Salem Horror Fest, we all got to see you on the big screen,
Hmm.
and did your acting role in Stay, directed
Yeah.
by Gino Blair, and tell us about that.
Well, again, we love Gino, and he sent us a story, and Jeff and Gino sort of adapted it to a script, and so they sent me the final script, and it was terrific, and they said to me that they wanted Laurie Cardill to be in it, and I
Yeah.
thought, that's fantastic.
Yes.
And she said yes, and she's just an angel, and I love her dearly. And then I said, oh, this grandmother. I mean, I can do that. I can go to Sharon and do that role, no problemo. And because
Yes.
I went to theater school for 5 years, and so I was a trained actor. I am a trained actor, and yeah, so I did it, and it was super fun, and Gino is so great. I
Do you
love him
think
too.
you'd like to do more acting?
I don't seek it out, but if it falls on my lap, no problem.
I was like, noted, right apart for Suze in my upcoming project. Okay, great.
Yeah, like if somebody said, "Can you do this?" I would say, let me look at my schedule and see if we can work it out. But
All right.
yeah, no, definitely.
Have you
Yeah.
ever considered writing and directing?
I don't writing, not for sure, not. I just don't have the skills. But directing, I have a definite sense of story. I have a sense of it, so I could. I think I obviously make mistakes and all that stuff, but I think I could do it.
I think you should do it.
I should do it,
That's
but
what I think.
I am
Yes.
so busy. I'm telling you.
Cool,
I
cool,
don't have
cool.
time for
So's
that stuff.
everyone, Suze. So's everyone. I think we're all doing 10 things and I
Yeah,
support it. But I
yeah.
believe if you want it, there's still time. And
Of
we support
course.
you.
Oh,
We
yeah.
support you doing that. And someone in chat, Brandon, again, saying that Susan Stay was a treat, and that Gino is a great filmmaker and loves seeing his work. And he's also a great human being. And Basmos also said his sincerity and enthusiasm were infectious from our chat. So thank you guys for
Wow,
hyping
you
them
guys.
up. That is the best.
Yeah.
But we also have a question from our horror cat dad, who's also in chat today. And I love cats. Hi, horror cat dad. I'm a horror cat person as well.
Meow.
My cats are hanging out, hiding right now. But they were watching movies with me earlier. Horror cat dad wants to know, what's the movie that really scared you? Is there a movie that you can think of that really was like the scariest thing? Since Nosferatu didn't scare you, it didn't scare me either. I just thought it was very hot. But is there anything that like really jumped out at you?
Blue Velvet.
It's pretty terrifying.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Blue Velvet kind of freaked me out. And yeah, I think Blue Velvet was probably, and yeah, there's a few. I really like I'm not so much the blood and guts kind of girl. I'm more about the psychological, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that atmosphere in Blue Velvet's intense.
yeah, it's very intense. Dennis Hopper, yeah, just intense.
Like, people don't think of David Lynch as a horror filmmaker, but I remember the last time watching Eraserhead in the big screen with my ex-boyfriend, and by the end we were clutching each other, screaming aloud in terror. And I was like, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I was
definitely a horror filmmaker.
Well,
I love that you're like, maybe.
Sure. I mean, he may not be generally, I would even say George Romero wasn't really a horror filmmaker.
No.
Not really.
Mm-hmm. No. But he struck the fear in our hearts and
yeah,
did the
I
thing.
think he does it with Night of the Living Dead. But after that, not so much. It's definitely genre, and it's definitely Romero, and it's definitely smart. It's definitely terrific, but it's not necessarily horror.
Well, we talk us through the amusement park and how that came to be, because we are so in love with that movie.
Yeah,
we champion it anytime we can put it on a list. We put it on a list if people ask us for movies.
So again, that's kind of a scary movie.
Yes, it's terrifying.
That is a scary movie. I actually think that film is the most Romero of Romero films, actually. And so, it fell in my hands. George and I watched it, and I was shocked after seeing it. And he basically said, it's nothing. And then he passed away, and I saw this film, and then I brought it to Adam Lowenstein in Pittsburgh, and I said, Adam, I don't know, but to me, this is a film. It's unbelievably great. Am I the only one who thinks this way? George dismissed it immediately, and so anyway, Adam also felt exactly the same way as I did. And so that became Garf's first project. We had Sandra Schulberg restore it, and in New York, and who's a wonderful film preservative person.
Preservationist.
Preservationist.
I'll hop in.
Thank you. Anyway, she restored it, and then we went to do the chain of title, which was not easy, and it took us 2 years because nobody kept records. It was ridiculous. Anyway, we finally got our ducks in a row, and then we started pitching it, and miraculously, Shudder said we want it, and so they took it into their hands, and so now it's out, and it's a film that needs to be seen. It needs to be, really sort of, you need to pay attention to it. And it's not a zombie movie, it's not a gory movie, but it's definitely a George Romero. Yeah. And then, so it's been a few years, and Jeff adapted it, and Ryan Carr, who's our resident artist, who's brilliant, we did a graphic novel, and that's
Yes.
coming out with Storm King, which is John Carpenter, and it's going to be
That's
fantastic.
so cool.
Yes, so cool.
Oh my gosh.
So cool. And Ryan's work is just sensational. So
I am so excited for that. I cannot wait. And the fact that it's John Carpenter presents
yeah,
George A. Romero's The
Yeah.
Amusement Park, that's pretty
Yeah.
sick.
it's very sick. I agree. I really do.
That's a match made in like heaven for sure.
Yeah,
That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to carry on the legacy, literally doing exactly what you wanted from the get-go with that. And
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you for sticking through, because that's, I know when you're kind of stymied in those processes of trying to figure out what's what, it's easy to give up. But the fact that you actually carried through and got that, you know, to live and live on, I
Yeah.
think is just absolutely incredible. And anytime we talk with people about that film who have seen it, I think it has affected all of them so deeply. And it's one of those ones, again, like the guys are talking in chat, it's Christian, who's fastmost in chat here, one of our Garf historians here, and he and they were saying, hi Christian, senior Garf artist and historian, in the chat, but talking about how timely his work
Hey,
really is, because
Christian.
it's about human behavior and humans being the monsters. I'm like, that's why stuff stays current, because
Mhm.
the human condition is still the human condition, and there's still stuff that we're working on that could absolutely, you know, we can use more empathy, we can use more care for everyone across the board, but especially the way that, and I feel like in America specifically right now too, that, you know, elderly people are getting discarded, and we write off thinking that they can't do anything anymore. And that's just, I think, wild. So you doing your film Seuss, whatever that ends up being, I think is going to be part of this legacy as well, of, you know, carrying that on and pushing that forth. So
Yeah. No, it's an important message. It's a stark message, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes when when I'm in I don't see it so much in Canada, but sometimes when I'm in the US, I see people who are definitely in their 80s and they're working. And it's
Yep.
because they have to.
Yep.
You know, they have to. You know, they're at Walmart or they're, you know, whatever they're doing. And I find it so sad. And like I said, when I saw this film, I just went, wow, it was powerful.
So can you talk to us about Romero's Elegy, which is another thing that you're working on?
Expostulations, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So he made this film in 1961. And he made a series of 5, and we only have the one. And so we found it, and we didn't restore it because we didn't want to restore it. We just wanted to do what he wanted to do, which was add a narrative and add music. And
Okay.
so we didn't touch the film itself. It's 21 minutes of wow. Again, about an African American father and son. Again, is it coincidence? I don't know.
That
Just
subconscious was going, even if we
it
talk
was,
about
you
coincidence,
know,
he was tracking on a whole nother thing that
he was
still to this day
interested in
makes
the
me so happy.
disenfranchised. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was interested in the marginalized. He was
he could see.
interested in
Mhm.
that, and right away, like early. And so that's what we did. The team, we had some music. We bought music at DeWolf because that's probably what he would have afforded, was library music, and so we did that. And we didn't put any Foley to it. We just and Richard Ritchie, who was part of this project, spent the last year and a half of his life writing the poem,
Wow.
and it's extraordinary.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
are there any leads to where the other parts could be?
No, I think a few of them, well, the story is it was burned in Jack Russo's basement. It was burned,
Ugh.
or
Oh.
no, it was not burned. It was flooded.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you never know, because we get people, you know, contacting us and saying, "Hey, I've got this and I've got that." And you're like, "Okay, let's go," you know. So we don't know what's out there, in
Ooh.
somebody's attic or in somebody's briefcase, that they haven't opened. So
Treasures are still out there awaiting.
there are.
Yeah.
I actually believe that. Actually, somebody wrote to me and said, I have a still life, and I think it's George Romero's painting.
Oh.
And so, because George went to Carnegie Tech and he went to the fine arts department before he went to the film, and he did I'm sure he painted, and there was this still life, and it was George Romero signed. Now, it was different from his signature that I was familiar with, but it was the same G, it was the same R. There was no doubt that it was George Romero's signature. And
Wow.
I wanted that painting. I said, I want it. I asked the guy if he would either give it to me or sell it to me. And he said he would consider it. But yeah, I never heard from him again. So
One day.
I would love to have it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that little piece.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Screams in a Box that you've been doing?
Well, it's my favorite initiative for sure. I love the fact that kids between 7 and 13, they get a kit of, they get to, there's a camera, there's a computer, there's a boom, there's a green screen, there's a finger, a cut finger.
Ooh, severed finger.
Yes, severed finger. And so they have to write a story. The film has to be about 5 or 6 minutes. I mean, there's no real limit. It's just, tell your story. And, but it's, it's got to be short. And, oh my God. When I see them, it's just so beautiful. They're not filtered yet. And the 13-year-olds and the 12-year-olds are a little bit more sophisticated. They're filtered, but you can see some of them have real talent, and it's just so much fun. And I love the idea of giving kids an opportunity to make a movie, tell a story through that medium. It's very cool.
So can you tell people who may not know about it what exactly the program is and how they can get involved?
So we're in the process. So Film Camp in a Box, which is a Canadian company, because that's who I met Brian here in Toronto, and then I decided that it would be kind of fun if we did a Screams in a Box, and so we sort of pooled energies, and so I think the best way to do it right now is to because there is no real American entity yet, so it's through Film Camp in a Box. And what we're interested in doing is at the GARF is having it so that it goes through us, and then we would supply the kits. But then you want to be able to concentrate on either the Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, because we couldn't do it countrywide.
Not yet.
Not yet. Exactly. But yeah, I would love to get at least in the Pittsburgh area, get some kids involved and shooting some. And what we've been doing is it's been in October, right? So Film Camp in a Box is all year round, but for October they do the Screams in a Box. Okay. And it would be fun if we could do that all year round and then get the best ones for October.
That would be absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So fun.
It is fun.
Cultivating the little minds. I love that though, but I think, the access that you have as a child really does denote what you might be able to do later. So having that opportunity at such a young age is
but
life-changing,
like is it the something underneath your bed? Is that what scares you? Or is it, what is it that scares you? Is it the bully that scares you? Or, because it doesn't have to be, scary is a very large net. And the kids really sort of go there. And it's interesting.
Yeah, it's so neat to have filmmakers that are, it's raw, so it really is just what they're seeing, up on the screen, which I think is fantastic. So
Mhm.
I know tell us more about what the Garf is working on right now, what you're excited about for the future.
Okay, well, we haven't made any really solid decisions yet.
Okay.
We are going to continue, I think, with Salem. We're going to continue with Screams in a Box, but we have a couple of things that are very exciting, but I don't want to say anything just yet because we're still discussing it. And I've got the board, who's also I've asked them their opinion as to what we should be doing. So we have another meeting in a week or so. So we'll see. But we have some potentially very exciting things.
Do you have any other things related with kids? I know Brandon in chat was asking, considering how fun and how great the festival has been to watch of the Screams in a Box, are there other initiatives for kids that you'd like to do, or other programs that are maybe on the horizon that maybe you could tease? I don't know.
Yeah, no, we haven't. That's it so far. Screams in a Box is enough, I think. We need to do one thing and we need to do it well. There's no point spreading, too thinly.
Sure.
But so that's the one that we like, and that's the one that we are going to pursue. And yeah.
Is the Scream Like a Girl contest going to go on this year as well?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought it up because March is Women in Horror Month, and so we're going to celebrate that. And we also want to get all the women to send their screams to us because that's almost always, it's hilarious. Oh my God.
It's great. We had a great time chatting with last year's winner too. So fun.
My gosh. It's again, so much fun. So we'll have a winner and she'll be, we'll celebrate this woman and her scream.
Hey man, a good scream queen is hard to beat.
I know. And last year's winner was good. And she said, it's funny because she said, well, it's, hard because you're screaming and your neighbors hear you, it's not like you're in a booth, So she found that it was difficult to do discreetly.
Yeah, screaming discreetly, not
easy.
Because for a really long time on my resume as an actor, it said great horror movie scream. And sometimes I would go to auditions that were in small rooms and they'd be like, "Oh, can you scream for us?" And I'm like, "It's really loud, you guys." And they're like, "No, it's fine." And then I would do it. And then they all cover their ears and go, "Oh, too loud." I know.
It comes in handy. I got to use mine.
I would enter.
I can't win. That'd be weird.
Well, it could be because we're not really we're just listening to the screams. We're gonna just pick the best scream, and if that's you, that's you. I mean, I'm just saying.
You and Darcy could go scream to scream, and then I'm gonna enter then too. I do have a pretty good one.
No,
I got to use that on stage this last year in a show called Final Girl, which was a fully improvised horror movie show, and I got to start off every show scaring the audience with my scream. So
wow,
it's possible.
Okay, let's do it.
What battle you, Julia? I'll battle you.
Hey man, to the death. Suzanne, what do you love about the horror community?
Oh, they're so loyal. I think loyal and passionate, and really. I think loyal is the first word I would say. They, and good people, like just good people and aware of their community, aware of, they're almost in a way, they're like black sheeps, but they all are black sheeps together. And there's this sort of net or this sort of hug that the whole community has. I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but that's how I feel about it.
No, agreed. It's my favorite community.
The land of misfit toys. We're hanging out and we love it. And we all kind of gravitates towards towards the weird.
And it's funny that everyone thinks they're misfits and they're black sheep and all that, but they're very in a way very ordinary too, but they have an interest that they like horror, and because it always surprised me that they were very normal once you got to know them. Like what I say them, but once you got to know people, they're normal people, but they like horror, but yet as a group, there's this misfit black sheep thing going, and
I think
I
that's
think
because our
that's
friends don't necessarily like the movies that we like or want to
right,
talk about it.
right.
Like Julia and I, we've had our movie night group that we've had for, over a decade now. And it's like, sometimes we'll bring a movie that we're like, oh, that was too far for the other people and some of the people in the group.
Okay.
And we forget sometimes, I think. And so just having someone to talk about those things with, I think is very
Okay.
exciting for us, which is why I think we get so excited.
Right.
But I feel that. I think
So
we've
it's
gotten
so
shunned
it's
for our
so
taste sometimes.
so what would be a movie? Now, here I'm asking you, what would be a
Mhm.
film that would be too far?
I mean, I love Terrifier, but Terrifier 3 went really, really far, and then they're making a fourth one, and I'm like, I don't know how you go further than that. I really
Right.
don't. Like, it's as
You
far
go
as
to
you go.
hell. They're
And,
going
like,
to hell.
it's
right?
delightful, and like David Howard Thornton's physicality, and he's like Charlie Chaplin-esque character who just happens to be killing people. Brilliant. I love it, and it adds the levity, and watching it in an audience is fantastic because you have people doing the noises of joyous disgust and everything. So it's not too far. It's not too far for me, but I can see how it is too far for a lot of people, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I think that's also a kind of reflection of the times. It's like people need it to be hard, but they also need there to be that comedy release at the same time, which I think is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Were you afraid?
No, I can't. Movies don't scare me very much anymore.
Super
Like
rare.
we went to go see The Substance together, right? And I looked away a lot. Like, I'm not scared of it. I just don't want to look at it.
That. You don't want to look at that. Julia also doesn't really like eggs, and the way that movie started, it was a scene with an egg, so that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Brandon and Chat, Cannibal Holocaust, yeah, things like that. I think there's certain things I don't find those necessarily scary, but they are kind of more.
What about
more
Human
visual.
Centipede?
Yeah, that kind of stuff I don't want in my brain, so
Okay.
I skip those.
I've seen it, and I've seen Cannibal Holocaust, but it's something like I can say that I've seen it and move on and not need to see that movie again. But as a horror completist, I feel like it is my duty to be like, I've seen Cannibal Holocaust. I know what that's about,
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, Julia.
Hardcore.
Yeah. That would be like my meter.
Yeah. And there's some stuff like I'm down, like I let like Julia said with the horror comedy, like I'm happy if it's kind of funny, and I think it's just like, even though Nosferatu TV, I was laughing so hard. They were like, I was like, this is hilarious. He's so campy.
She watches movies in a way. Dramatic. If there's anything that Robert Eggers is not, it's camp. He is not aiming for that in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. I bet you if you interviewed him about Nosferatu right now, he'd be like, yeah. The guy's just like, oh, I need you forever. And he doesn't have any scene where he talks like, other than shambling, like weird breaths. I mean, come on. He is a drag queen. I'm sorry, but that is a queen coming from the grave. I think that's because she thinks I'm laughing because I think what's his face? Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw is also just a drama queen, drag queen. Because just like, I got to put on my other face now, girls. I think it's silly. But anyway.
She's crossed over to the other side.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I said. That's Christian. Exactly. I was saying, is he going to talk like that the whole time? I didn't say that. I was like, this is it. He's never going to have another tenor in his voice. The whole Nosferatu. Hilarious. I'm sorry.
No,
hilarious.
This is it.
It's very camp.
Can we circle back around to the Horror Study Center and also the archives?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Well, that's really again, it's important to me because it gives the horror legitimacy because it's in a, first of all, art archive is to be taken seriously. People from all over the world can go and see the work. I've actually spent 2-3 months reading everything that Georgia wrote.
Wow.
So I've read everything. there's so much there, and it was just fascinating to me and the evolution of his writing was extraordinary as well. And the Horror Study Center, where we've applied for the grant. The pitch went beautifully, so we're hoping to get some funding for it. And to be honest, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get a curriculum, minor, major, and having students come from all over the world to study this subject. And I just think it's fascinating to me, that it being studied, and I just think it's the cat's meow.
And it's time, horror has been marginalized for its entire existence as a film genre.
And it's been going on since, like the first century, was because people would tell stories, with fire and, whatever. It's a social, it's just wonderful that it's been going on for so long. And it needs to be studied. And I think the University of Pittsburgh is really taking a big evolutionary step here, because it's different, and because academia is very conservative, and but I think there are folks there, Cornelia, the librarian, who sees the path, and she sees it, and I respect it so much because it's valid, and I'm glad that they see it. So it's great.
And what a beautiful destination for people to come to Pittsburgh.
Sure.
And, and be a part of that. And that's, I don't know, when I think of Pittsburgh, I always think of George too. So I'm just like, that's what I would want to go see while I was there.
And we're very interested in having a museum, a state-of-the-art horror museum. I think it would be fantastic, have a virtual room and just have, artifacts, just, and then have a room where you can see films and see the written word and see art, just all the mediums on display. I think it's just very cool. There are some pockets of it in the country, but I think that, you need to have a comprehensive space that really sort of highlights, this art.
Yeah. So we have another question from the chat from Alpha Romero, who asks, any plans for the 2.5 black and white cut of Martin? George loved that cut, and we love some Martin.
Yes, and Martin. And again, I saw the cut.
I want to see it so bad.
So Patton Oswalt and I are the only people who've seen this.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So I feel very lucky, and so it's extraordinary. It's long, but I didn't mind it being the length it was. The rape scene is definitely present, more so than in the film. It's black and white. So
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it's extraordinary. And what do we do with it? Nothing. It's in the archive. It's protected. It's gonna be there for the rest of time, and it doesn't have to go. It doesn't have to become anything. It just is, and it's there. And I'm so glad we have it because it's protected.
So, like, if Teri and I went down to Pittsburgh and like did a cat burglar scam to like break in and watch the 2.5 cut,
that might be a movie. Let's shoot it.
Teri and I's cat burglars.
I'm like, hold on, I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
Nobody would suspect us. We'd get away with anything. Look at these faces.
I think we could absolutely get away with it. Honestly, I have my from Arrow Video. I have like the tin Martin. I mean, I have with all the extras. It's one of our all-time favorites. I think something about
Patton was fanboy when he met Martin.
We all were when we had him on. We had John Amplas on our show on Horror Movies Love a Guide,
John and Patton were like besties.
I believe it in a moment. Yeah, hand to heart, as Julie and I would say.
We really wanted them both to be in the room together and watch it, but it just couldn't happen. It was one of those things that we just couldn't do because it can't have an audience. It has to just be one person. So anyway, it's there. Thank goodness, as opposed to somebody's basement,
We got some tips for sneaking in from the chat, so we're going to use those. Thank you so much, chat.
It's ridiculous.
We'll see you in Pittsburgh real soon.
I can give you some inside scoops.
I could use too. We'll hit you up. Don't worry, we got it. We'll make it happen. That'll be our pilgrimage this year, I think.
So we have to ask you a question that we ask all of our guests here on Horror X. How has George A. Romero made an impact on your life?
Oh my God, from absolutely everything. The man was hugely impactful. Never mind. It was almost like I was single for almost 15 years when I met him. And happy, by the way, happily single and living, traveling and just doing everything selfishly, living beautiful life. And I met him, and it was almost like my whole 15 years was like I was preparing to meet him in terms of culture, in terms of, travel, in terms of just everything, because he was older than I was, but when I met him, we were absolutely on the same level. He loved Shakespeare. He loved to travel. He loved good food. We both loved sport, to watch sports. There was just so much. Just everything was absolutely huge for me. And so losing him was, difficult. But what I'm doing today makes it a lot better, because I keep him alive through this. And so, But I have to say, though, I know way more about his work now than I did then. I had a peripheral, knowledge of his work, but now I mean, I'm not Christian, and I'm not Adam Lowenstein, but I certainly know a lot, and I'm learning every day. So, but as a human being, he was my soul mate.
Hand to heart.
Hand to heart. That is so sweet. So if people want to help with the GARF and donate to the GARF, where can they do that? Where can they find you online?
Well, you can reach me at Suzanne at the GARF, and then of course go to GeorgeARomeroFoundation.org and take a look at our website. We're working on our website, by the way. We've got we're doing some work behind the scenes, and so our website is right now. It's going to be a lot better in a few months, but we're working on it. So yeah, you can go there and reach me, reach the GARF, and take a look at George Romero's bio and all that stuff. Everything George Romero is there, and I did want to mention Twilight of the Dead, which is exciting.
Yes. Oh, please. Yes, we have that in our notes. We didn't do that one. Yes. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So, Brad Anderson, and I know you know who he is. It was in Hawaii, because we're going to shoot in Hawaii.
Oh, how cool.
And he was there scouting. Greg Nicotero was working on, the effects, and the script is unbelievably great, very dark, very dark, actually.
Yes.
I need a little light. I need a little light.
No, honey, it's dark times right now. He knew dark times right now. George knew what was up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am so excited for it.
And then is it Mila Jovovich a part of this too?
Yes. And Betty Gabriel, and so listen, it's going to be sensational. Obviously, there will be people who will say, blah, 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 blah. But it is what it is, and we've taken great care and coddled this project. It needs to be said. It needs to be told, and it's going to be it's about the love of George Romero in my case, and making sure that story gets out.
Oh.
Well, this is our official application to be zombies and said film.
And it's in Oahu,
amazing.
so you might really want to
Oahu's
volunteer.
easy. I have friends there. I have a place to stay if I need to be there. I already have housing, so just putting it out there.
Oh my gosh!
Cheap tickets from
okay.
LA to Oahu, very easy to come by. I've done it in $250 round trips, so it's possible.
Steve Barton. Do you know who Steve Barton is? Uncle Creepy.
No.
Uncle Creepy. He's
Okay, yeah.
Uncle Creepy. So
Okay.
he just sent me set photos of Survival of the Dead.
Oh.
So I've been going through them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just wow. Yeah.
I'm so happy
So
that it's
great.
happening, and thank you for you are helping to make it happen and helping to do everything you're doing to help George's legacy live on. We're so grateful that you help us with this show with Horror X.
Well, it was my pleasure, ladies. Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here, and so happy we got to chat and got to catch up again. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a bit. So
it's been a hot minute. Yeah,
it has been a hot minute. I saw you the last time was in Salem in the summertime. So
yeah,
it's been a minute. So thank you so much.
Do you have something in your future?
Me?
Yeah,
I got scripts waiting in the wings.
Okay.
It's just that money. That's the problem,
That's the business.
We did some readings this last year on brushing up on Julia's script, and then I started a script. So we're all working on projects, which I think is very exciting. We're continuing to just celebrate our 400th episode of Horror Movie Survival Guide a couple weeks ago. So 7.5 years strong of us doing our show. So around the same time as you doing the foundation, we started this show. So coming together like that.
Ladies, amazing.
Thank you. So
amazing.
People can check that out still, all you people watching, and people who are watching this later, please make sure you check that out. We deep dive on a different movie every week to find out how you can become the final girl and beat the odds, and also, or be the final family or final whoever, whatever Romero's got in store, we look for the final.
And I'm also on 2 other podcasts. I'm on Jodorowsky, all about Jodorowsky, and Stephen King, a go-go on the Losers Club.
Wow.
And of course, please check out the George A. Romero Foundation, which is dedicated to restoring Romero's work, including seldom seen pieces from his early career that we discussed that I'm so excited to see.
Like the amusement park and more, and that Martin Black and White that we're going to go hunting our way into and find. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight.
Please bye. Good night, ladies.
To find us all on the internet. Thank you.
Thank you. See you all next time. Thank you for watching.
Bye.